Hello, and welcome to another inspiring episode of Post-Trauma Secrets and Decluttering, the podcast where we dive deep into holistic decluttering as well as stories of resilience, recovery, and rejuvenation. Our platform is a beacon of hope, providing up-to-date information about holistic decluttering and showcasing the incredible journey of individuals who face their trauma heads-on and emerge stronger, using decluttering, not just of their physical space, but of their mind and their heart as well. Today, we are thrilled to have a very special guest, Patrecia, who has been a part of our transformative program, the Doers Academy Momentum, for the past year. Patricia's journey is one of courage, commitment, and change. Through the Academy, she has embraced the path of healing and self-discovery, tackling both the clutter in her life and the shadow of her past with incredible determination. So without further ado, let's welcome Patrecia to the podcast. Patrecia, it's an absolute pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you so much. I'm really so honored to be here.
Awesome. So, Patrecia, can you start by sharing a little bit about yourself and what led you to join the Doers Academy Momentum program?
Well, actually, I was referred by a friend who saw your advertisement on Facebook. And she's such a really good friend of mine that I could share with her some of my personal experiences. She knew that I had difficulty with clutter, and she had seen that it had gotten worse, especially after my father passed and I began to hold on to a lot of his belongings. I was, since a child, one that would collect and gather and hold on to things, trying to hold on to some happy memories because I had a difficult childhood. So anytime I had something that I went somewhere and it was a good memory, whether it was the zoo or a museum, I'd have to get souvenirs. I'd always get two because one might possibly get lost or broken. So now I had duplicates of things. And that was fine as a child. And then as I got older into my adulthood, I would still collect things. And I found that I then had rooms that were full. And I had always a junk room. Then the junk room began to expand. And then I was stuffing things in other places to the point that after I retired, I had my garage and a storage unit. And after my dad's passing and then my aunt's passing, the formal living room, and my house then became a place that I was no longer comfortable. And it seemed like I was trying to work on it, but I couldn't figure out why. Was I not able to, if I was dealing with clutter and trying to organize things, why wasn't I able to reduce the amount of clutter? And I didn't know until I got into the program that I was holding on to things because I was trying to hold on to good memories to try to pretend and erase that the bad memories didn't exist in my childhood.
Yeah, that's a huge one.
Mm-hmm.
So when you joined the program at the beginning, like you said, you were having clutter in multiple places, storage unit, your junk room, your living room. Was that causing some difficulty in your relationships?
Oh, yes, it was. At first, my husband was really frustrated with me. That's your clutter. You need to deal with it. That's something you need to take care of. Okay, so I tried to deal with it. But again, like I said, my wheels were just spinning and I wasn't really getting far. And if I cleaned up one spot, there was another spot that got cluttered.
You were moving clutter.
I was moving clutter and still accumulating and holding on. So then it got difficult in my marriage. My husband began to retreat emotionally, and as opposed to what I would have liked of us working together, it pulled us apart. He began to get depressed. He often spent time sitting on the couch just watching TV and retreated like I said, emotionally as well as physically. And now I felt very alone in my marriage, and also felt somewhat alone because we were no longer inviting people into our home. So now I felt very isolated.
Yeah, I bet. So, reflecting on the past year, what was the initial challenge you wanted to address when you first joined the program? Was it the trauma? Was it the clutter? What was your first initial challenge you were trying to work on?
Initially, it was to be able to have people come into our home, because we have friends and family that invite us, but we often don't get to reciprocate. As well as, and I'll be honest here, it got to the point in the basement that we were not able to have a serviceman come down and do repairs on our air conditioning and heating unit. And we were without air conditioner for a little while. So my goal when I first joined the program was to clear the basement so that we could have a new air conditioning unit put in. And I am so happy to say that within several months, I cleared the entire section of the work area of the basement, was able to have servicemen come in to repair and replace both the air conditioner and the heater. And once I did that, it was so fabulous that I got to see that I was capable of doing it, that I was able to feel good about starting to let go of things, because up until that point, I didn't know it was possible for me. And the program gave that to me with all the tools. It really gave that to me.
I love that. So, did your perception of trauma and healing change since being part of the Academy?
Yes. I always knew there was trauma in my life, but I didn't see the depth of how they were connected, and how holding on to these things in my head, I thought it made me feel safer. And I thought it made me feel closer to the positive memories. But I was not seeing how it was really hurting my relationships in the present. And I got to see how it was really keeping people away from me.
Yeah, that's a hard moment.
Mm-hmm.
So I know you start sharing some pivotal moment or turning point you had in your journey within the Academy, like when you were able to have the serviceman come in.
Right.
But is there other moment or turning point that you would like to share?
I think a pivotal moment was when we were talking about having routines in our lives. I was not one for routines, and my family as a child didn't have any routines. So this whole concept of a routine was foreign to me. And I kind of resisted it. I always thought of myself as a free spirit, and, I didn't need a routine. But I realized how routines gave me a foundation. And I liken it to a frame on a picture. The frame really gives the picture boundaries. It's a beautiful picture, but in a frame, it can be gorgeous. And I realized that I needed that kind of framework in my life. So one of the things I put into place was, on my refrigerator, I put things that needed to be done, or goals for the week. And I happened to call it for the good of the house. And my husband would see that, and I would put, whether we have to vacuum or clean the bathroom shower or something. And at first, like I said, my husband was very resistant, but he began to see, oh, I can see there's a difference in this room. You've been working on things in the office, or there's not so many piles anymore. And little by little, my husband not only started to congratulate me, but now he got on board. Now, when I put something up for the good of the house, if it says vacuuming, he's like, okay, I'll do the vacuuming today. We now can be a team again in our marriage. We can work towards the same goal. We both want to have people come to our home and share things with friends and family. And now when I say we're looking for the same goal, we can do this together, he's now on board and not resistant anymore. And it feels good to have my husband back again.
Oh, I imagine. That's so awesome. Congratulations, because you did the work to get there.
Thank you.
So decluttering can be both a physical and emotional process. How did you approach this aspect of the program?
Well, first I did physical. There was so much clutter, I started to clear things, which then lightened my mood and helped my husband not to be as depressed. So in moving the physical things, the emotional started to come along with that. And then I wasn't afraid to look at some of the deeper emotions that I had of why I was cluttering and how that was connected to my childhood. It didn't seem so overwhelming. I remember I used to say to people, I'm overwhelmed, I'm always tired. And I no longer feel that because I feel that it's doable. And I say that as a joke with the program is do well, but it is doable. And I thanks. I believe that and I see it now. I don't feel that kind of overwhelm anymore. And I can do things a little at a time or in bigger projects. And I know that I am able and capable of doing it.
Yeah.
And one of the things I also did in the program is to set affirmations. And one of my affirmations is, I am proud of myself and proud of my home. And I am beginning to, I know I believe that, but I'm beginning to see it. I am proud of myself, yes. And I am becoming more and more proud of my home every day.
Oh, that's beautiful. So, we work a year together. So in a year, there's some unexpected challenge that can face,
Mm-hmm.
So what would you say during that journey? What came up or how did you overcome them?
Well, the holidays are a challenge for me. We have a very big family, and it was difficult to stay on track with decluttering and the parts of the program and following through with things. But I found that it was possible to do things in a very, very small scale and not totally throw it out the window or not do anything at all. So what I did was, if I could only declutter the kitchen table from the mail for the past couple of days, that's what I did. And then I celebrated. It was like, okay, in the midst of everything going on, I'm still able to do this. I was still able to maintain the dishes in the sink. I was still able to maintain the dining room, because that table only gets used occasionally and sometimes we'll gather lots of things. And we were able to maintain that and sit in the dining room and have our dinner there. So even though it was only small amounts of decluttering, I was still able to feel like I was still connected with the program and still doing a small amount of it so that I can continue on the path.
Yes, and that brings me really, like you talk about a little bit at a time. That's bring me to the concept of momentum and how it is crucial in our program. Can you describe a moment when you truly felt the momentum building in your healing process?
Yes. During one of the 5-day challenges that you had in the program, there was homework every single night. And I was so excited to do that homework. And it was to clear out my entire patio, which was a very big project. But the patio had gathered garden things and odds and ends and all kinds of stuff that should have been put in the shed, but wasn't. And I took on the challenge of clearing my patio during that. Well, it was quite a big challenge, but every night I was so excited to do it. And I did before after pictures and after pictures, and I was so happy and proud. And again, it pushed me forward and challenged me so that I know that I can do that when I get to other projects like the garage. So I go out on the patio and I look at it. It's just so beautiful now. And it feels so good to be able to get there.
Oh, I love that. So You talk a little bit about your relationship with your husband that have changed during the last year, but how has your relationship with yourself changed since you started the Doers Academy?
That is a fabulous question. It has changed significantly. I would always be doing for others, for my aunt, for my cousin, for students, neighbors, whoever. I was always there for them. But because of that, I wasn't often here for me. And a big part of the program is self-care. And I began to look at how I would run and jump when somebody says, can you come help with something? And I'd say yes. And then I'd cancel a chiropractor's appointment to go help them. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not taking care of me. So I began to take time in the morning to sit and have a quiet time, to do some peaceful breathing, to take time to maybe read something inspirational, to take time to make sure that I go to my appointments, and to really feel like I am as important as any of those other people that I go to help. I need to help me. Like they say on the airplane, you have to put your mask on first before you help somebody else. And I realized I wasn't doing that. And the program really brought that to my attention.
Good. I'm glad you are taking care of yourself now.
Mm-hmm.
So could you share one of the most significant lessons you've learned that you'd like our listener to take away?
I think the most important lesson is overall, the program is so inclusive. All the things we just touched on. It's about self-care. It's about physical clutter. It's about the relationships in our lives. It's our relationships with things. It takes in so much. It's introspective as well as expansive. It's a total program, holistic, as you say.
And in moments of doubt or on moments of struggle, because in a year there is some moment of struggle, what kept you motivated and moving forward?
Because there is such structure in the program and such support. There's Zoom calls, there's activities, there's a workbook, there's always something there. And it's in a different types of modalities. So if one day you're not feeling like talking, you can do something in the workbook, or you can read something. Another day, if you want to share, you can share your celebrations with people and get on a Zoom call. If you need information about decluttering or organizing, or any type of writing down, whether it's journaling or it's keeping a positive list of your accomplishments, all of that is all built into the program. So you can approach it in any way you need on any given day. So when I got stuck, I'd either get on a Zoom call, or I'd start working in the workbook, or I'd pick up the book to read. There was always some way that I can push myself a little bit through it.
Awesome. And as decluttering your space impacted your mental and emotional well-being?
Oh, yes, most definitely. Most definitely. I would say that I am not the same person this year that I was last year. Last year, I was stressed and didn't know I was stressed. I was overwhelmed and was feeling it every day. I was not happy in my marriage, and I wasn't spending time with many friends. And today, I feel good about my home. I feel good about my marriage. I'm inviting more friends into my life. We were able to have a couple people over for the holidays. And I would like to do that on a bigger scale and more often, but I'm opening myself back up again. And that's really big, to feel like I was closing in my life and shutting down. And now this program that's about decluttering has made such a difference that it has really expanded my life to the point that I feel like I'm coming back. And like I said, refreshing contacts and making phone calls to friends that I haven't talked to for a while, because I was concerned they'd say, well, why don't we like go have a cup of coffee at your house or something? And I'd be like, oh no. But now I can say, yeah, why don't you stop over tomorrow morning and the kitchen table will be clear.
I love that. So looking back, what advice would you give to your past self at the beginning of this journey?
I would say you can do it. Stick with it. Believe in yourself. Don't be scared. It'll be okay.
Awesome. Is there a particular practice or habit you've developed through the Academy that you find the most beneficial?
Yes, we have a breathing technique, as you know, called the Doers Reset. And it is a very simple but very powerful breathing technique. And I use it several times a day. And I even recently used it when I had surgery and was nervous about my surgery and was able to bring my blood pressure down before I went into surgery. And the nurse was very impressed.
That is so cool. Yes. So how do you plan to continue the practice and lesson learned in the Doers Academy Momentum into your daily life?
Well, every day when I wake up, I do the Doers Reset before I start my day. And that is definitely part of my life now. I find that I can do it anywhere. It's not something that takes a particular yoga pose or space you need or anything like that. I could do it before I get out of the car to go into an appointment. I can do it at the kitchen table. So that is definitely part of my life. Taking time every day, just 10 or 15 minutes, and realizing that things are out of place, pick them up and put them where they belong. Now it doesn't seem like everything is such a big project to clean up. Now I can look at things on a small scale, like, okay, these papers on the desk need to get organized and filed where they need to go. It's not like, oh my God, the whole room is a mess and you've got to do the whole thing right now and it's overwhelming. Now it's little pieces and I can see it that way. And that keeps me out of that overwhelmed place.
Wow. And finally, Patrecia, what message of hope or encouragement would you like to share with our listener who may be facing their own trauma or clutter?
I would say, if you really, in your heart, feel that you would like to make a change and do it differently than you've done it before, because you find what you've done before hasn't been working, this would be the program. This program is inclusive. It's supportive. The staff is fabulous. There's always somebody at the end of the phone if you want to call or text someone. There are supports every single day by Zoom calls. This program will push you in a gentle way and in a loving way, but they'll give you a nudge when you need to and say, I noticed that you've done really well here, but you might need to do a little something there. And they're the people that will do that for you. Anybody can go through this program with these kind of supports. And if you feel like you don't have people in your life that can understand why you have clutter and they don't get the connection between clutter and trauma, Valerie and her team have been there and they have done it for themselves. They totally understand. They'll take you by the hand and they'll help you through.
Wow. Patrecia, it's been truly inspiring to hear your story and the strive you've made on your journey. Thank you for opening up and sharing your experience with us and the listener. To our listener, we hope Patricia's story motivates you to face your challenges with courage and to consider decluttering not just as a way to organize your space, but also as a tool for profound personal growth. Remember, healing begins with a single step, and sometimes that step is simply deciding to begin. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next episode of Post-Trauma Secrets and Decluttering. Bye now.